Yeah.
All right. So, hold on. Um,
Hola, karma.
okay. So today we are talking about coping versus healing.
Hmm.
And when I set the intention for the week for my followers and viewers, I gave the analogy that coping is just like putting a band-aid over an open wound that you know you need to like go to the hospital, get surgery and stitches for. Basically those maladaptive behaviors like smoking, drinking, sex, scrolling, overworking. My thing with coping is I understand that you have to wait until someone is ready to actually do the healing that they need, but I'm interested in knowing if you could break down what what's the psychology behind people knowing they need healing but still choosing to just cope.
That's a that's a really good question, and I don't want to, as always, oversimplify it by
Yeah.
giving this one word answer that makes it seem like, hey, just do this and all your problems go away.
Right, because it's never
When in
that
actuality,
simple.
it's often not that case.
Yeah.
Um, I like to frame it this way: healing is a privilege. Healing is a privilege because healing typically requires you no longer to be in the place that's harming you. For example,
Mm.
ain't no unless you're a super saiyan, ain't nobody healing in the middle of the fight. You're not like Hoda
Yeah.
said, let me put these bandages and these wounds on while the other person's still whooping your tail. You don't heal during the fight. And a lot of times we want people to begin the healing process while we're ignoring the fact that they're not, though they may not be in the original fight, they're in this new fight. And many people
Mhm.
go from fight to fight to fight to fight to fight and find themselves in a situation where they've never really had the time or the privilege, if you will, to be able to heal.
Mm. Like when I thought about this, it made me think I have a family member that years ago I was, well, for many years I should say, I was like their sounding board.
Hmm.
And I knew they needed a higher level of care and would give the resources that I would have, the different organizations that I had used previously or currently at the time was using for mental health care and things. And they never, even other people, other family members, same thing, providing resources, letting them know, like, we're here. This is how we are trying to support you in this. You need a higher level of care because life has been rough. Like you need someone to talk through these issues with. And they would take them and say, oh, thanks, I'll call, I'll reach out. Never took it. And now they're in a situation where kind of no one in the family wants to deal with them because we're like, you're not even willing to help yourself. So there's nothing that we can actually do at this point. And I think there's a lot of that in the Black community, just even seeing, with our clients in the demographic that we've seen, where again, we're seeing the children, but then the parents oftentimes will say they know they need the help, but still refuse to go. And I'm wondering, is it because, and I'm sure it's probably in some scenarios, are they just comfortable where they are? Is it an ego thing where they know that they need the help, but then kind of have the old school Black family mentality of, I'm going to just pray on it, go to church, and then I'm going to be okay? But
Well,
clearly that's not working either.
well, the answer to your question is yes. Yes. And you left off a few things because the reasons why people don't pursue the help that they need varies. By that I mean sometimes there are some similarities as to why certain individuals pursue won't pursue help, and then sometimes the reasons why they won't pursue help may be different. I'll give you a few reasons why people don't pursue help.
Hmm.
Identity. Imagine your whole identity being based on this belief that you have to be. I'll pick an easy one. Strong black woman schema.
Hmm.
You have this idea of I'm a strong black woman. Now you have to ask yourself, well, what does it mean for me to be that character, to play that role? And does this behavior, this pursuing help, mean that I'm no longer fulfilling the responsibility of this role that I see as my identity? If the answer is yes, there may be some resistance. Let's look at societal norms. If we live in a society or a part of a community that looks at mental health as if something is wrong with you versus something has happened to you, that person might be more
Hmm.
inclined to stay away from things like mental health services. Let's look at how I'll keep sticking in the vein of black women, though I don't represent black women. I've spoken to many of them, and these are some of the things they've shared with me. Let's look at many black women's experiences in the medical field. Not being trusted, not being heard, going to doctors and medical physicians and telling them there's a problem, and the doctor diminishing what their experience is or telling them that it's something that it's not, or giving them some Tylenol and sending them home. And so it creates this level of distrust for people who work in any type of medical profession, of which the mental health profession is a branch. You have all of these different things that are playing together, and many of them end up becoming barriers to people pursuing health, especially within populations that are economically deprived, that deal with a lot of negative stereotypes societally, that may just be dealing with just this mindset of I want to see myself as whole, I want to see myself as okay, and I feel like doing this makes me feel like, well, maybe I'm not whole, maybe I'm not okay. And that can be difficult for a person to admit.
For sure. I what about those people, like I said, that because I even had a few family members with, some recent things that I was going through tell me, you just need to go to church and pray on it. And I'm like, that is like on one part, yes, I feel like your faith or whatever your spiritual religious backgrounds are does play a part in your healing. And I know I definitely have that. But why is it in your experience for our community, and you may have already answered this in one of your
Mm-hmm.
previous answers, is it we just think that as long as we go to church, as long as we go to God, as long as we pray, mental health care is going to take care of all of that? Why is that still such a stigma in our community?
Again, that's another thing where I don't feel like there's one answer, but one aspect of it is for generations that has been our go-to. Culturally, we have had our own methods of dealing with what we would refer to today as mental health issues. Unfortunately, much of mainstream society, especially in the mental health field, does not place a high or high enough value on African centered principles or interventions or strategies that we have used for centuries, if not millennia, to deal with the challenges that we've experienced as a people, as a culture, as a race, if you would. And so many people who come to therapy are resistant because the practices or strategies that often are utilized um, in therapy are unfamiliar to the individual who's pursuing therapy. And many of their own cultural practices are sometimes even demonized, if you will, looked at as inferior because it doesn't align with the Western norm. I would argue, and I can't wait to finish getting this PhD so I can argue this from a stronger position. I would argue, if done effectively, why couldn't it be helpful? Why couldn't church be helpful?
Right.
Because I say it from this perspective. I'm, I don't heal clients. I provide a space and tools for them to heal themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Why couldn't church do that? Theoretically.
Right.
And
And I
who's to say that they haven't done that historically? Not saying all, but
mm-hmm.
it's
But
it's a lot. And I like to build, well, I build most of my belief as it relates to the mental health field around the works of Dr. Linda James Myers, and I keep coming back to those three things. If you address how you view yourself, how you view the world, and how you view yourself in relationship to the world, much of, if not most of, if not all of the mental health challenges that we, at least Black people, deal with, dissipate, if not completely go away. And I strongly believe that if you're in a healthy religious setting, a healthy one, that those three things should be addressed: how you view yourself, how you view the world, and how you view yourself in relationship to the world.
man, that would be so dope if more of our churches could adopt that mentality. The leaders in church could adapt that mentality because, like you said, that's where the majority of us go anyway, and what has been historically um, where we navigate when things in our life is falling apart. So if we could implement mental health in the church and combine that with faith, I think the avenues that could open up for so
Now,
many.
here's one of the catches. I have found that you can, especially if you do it in a way where you change up verbiage. You don't have to use the same terminology to be equally as effective. I don't have to talk about diurnal logic to talk about two things can be true at the same time. We don't have to make it highfalutin and whatnot in order to be effective. I think that's a myth. Um,
Mhm.
I feel like we could effectively offer mental health support utilizing the structure, principles, and foundation that you found in church. Why? Because if a person comes to me in therapy and say, "Hey, I'm a strong Christian. I was raised Christian. I'm Baptist born, Baptist bred. When I die, I'll be a Baptist dead." Cool. I'm not here to change your mind and tell you need to be more spiritualistic and less religious. No, I'm going to use religion, and I'm going to find verses in the Bible that support what you're going through and allow you to use that as your tool for healing. I've done the same thing for individuals who came to session with tarot cards. I
Mhm.
don't do tarot cards, but you do tarot cards, cool. I'm going to use what's familiar to you versus demonizing saying it that unless you do use a more Eurocentric uh, framework, then it won't be effective. Not to say Eurocentric is bad. I just find that with my clients, a more African centered or a more familiar framework is typically more effective.
Love that. How, from your perspective, how do you think we can begin to embody that as a community? I mean, I know the typical saying is be the change that you want to see. But you so many of us is stuck in that mental capacity, it can be harder for them to branch outside of what their norm is from a psychological perspective, if you could. And I understand it may not just be one answer,
Mhm.
but what could be some ways that the individuals that see the issue have some solutions, not the overall solution, but some kind of solution? Can we begin to bring more of that type of healing into our community?
This is probably going to be one of the few times I have a very short, concise, direct, one solution answer. Be the change you want to see in the world.
Literally.
That was it. Here's the thing: the only thing you can control is you, anyways.
Yeah.
What I have found is that I'm probably not the person you would ever come to and ask advice about being single.
Facts.
Fact, and that's fair. I don't take any
Hmm.
offense to that. Actually, I would look at you kind of weird if you did. Like, what would I know about that? I've been married since I was 20. So I've been married for more than half my life. I don't even remember what single feels like, let alone how to navigate it.
Right.
That would be foolish of you to ask me to advise you on how to navigate the challenges of being single.
Hmm.
On the flip side, I do think that if you ever decided to get married, to ever get settled down and do a more traditional type romantic relationship ordeal, then I might be someone, and my wife might be someone that you would come to say, "Hey, can we have some conversation with you all to get some structure, some format, some ideas on what strategies may be helpful for us if implemented?" That would be wise. Why? Because I think my wife and I have presented ourselves as individuals with a strong relationship, though we're very different and though we experienced many of the same challenges as everyone else. We found a way to navigate those challenges and still maintain our relationship. My proof is that I can't tell you how many couples my wife and I have provided mentorship for.
Hmm.
And they come to us because they say, "Listen, you have something that I want. What's your secret?" I believe that's the secret. First, you have to do the thing you want others to do. If you do it long enough, you'll get good at it. You're good at it long enough, you'll be great at it. Once you get great at it, people want to know how do you do it, and they'll ask you.
Yeah, I agree.
I, we don't have to make it more complicated than that because that's complicated enough. Get your stuff together. You know what I'm saying? You work on your stuff. And sometimes even in the process, people will see you building something like, is you putting a deck in your backyard? Go out on your go out on your front yard. You live in the suburbs, go out on your front yard. Start getting your yard together. Like early on a
Neighbors
Saturday
gonna
morning.
follow.
You see, they just
Yeah.
because they don't want to because they don't want to miss out. They don't want to be the 1 yard because you getting your stuff together. High put shines a light on their stuff to a degree. I'm simply saying work on you. I don't work on my spouse. I don't work on my kids. I don't work on my clients. I don't work on my students. I work on me because I'm the only thing I can change. And if my light shines bright enough, they'll see
We'll
things
see.
and they'll ask questions.
For sure. For sure. And anyone that is watching that feels like they do need that relationship type of advice or marriage advice, Mr. Jake and his wife definitely are like top tier, one of my favorite black couples. And I'm gonna drop this on your behalf. I know this ain't what you want to do, but his ebook that he and his that he and his wife made is 25 and counting, correct?
25 and counting.
One of the best relationship books I have ever read. And it's not just because I know them, it is because that information in there, it really had me looking at just my dating life different and like what I want and expect out of a husband, out of a life partner, and seeing those little nuances of, you know, compromise and
No,
how
not
your
compromise.
partner
That
may
wasn't there. That wasn't
perceive.
there. We're gonna say no
Compromise
negotiation.
wasn't in there?
I promise you, compromise wasn't in there.
You sure? I'm
I'm
gonna
a
read it
hundred percent
again.
possibly. Read it. You gonna read it
Right,
three
you
times.
wrote
I
it, so
promise.
I'm gonna believe you. But
I don't believe in compromise. I do believe in but I do believe in sacrifice.
yeah, but all that to say, when he drops his information on how you can get in touch with him, follow him, his website, highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. Um,
Sorry, the light behind me. I just wanted to be outside on the patio. I can see my face is kind of dark, but it's come on, man. It's the
it's
first
a
warm
nice
day. I was like,
day.
I got to go outside. I had to be outside for a little bit.
Yeah, hey, I
All right,
understand. I was
I'll,
out
I'll
there
put a
earlier.
light out here next time.
But now I lost my train of thought. What was I gonna say after that? What it boils down to is real healing is hard. Real
Yes,
healing is hard
man.
because, and it's ongoing. So I also don't like the narrative or perspective that if you do X amount of sessions with a therapist or with a coach or read some self-help
Oh,
book and you have one or two epiphanies, you are healed.
nope. I'll put
No.
it to you like this. I would be willing to argue that most of my sessions with clients and sessions, I go to a therapist every other week as well.
Mm-hmm.
Most of my sessions in both settings don't end in an epiphany.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them don't. Most
Yeah.
of them are just chipping away. And sometimes it feels like you didn't do anything. It it feels like that
Mm-hmm.
until the one session you go in and you don't realize that, like breaking a boulder with a hammer, there's these micro fractures that happen inside of the boulder that you can't see. And so you feel like you're hitting it and it's not having an impact. It is. It's just having such a deep impact you don't realize it until that one strike. And then all of a sudden it's like it cracks. And you're like, oh wow, that one hit did it. No, that one hit didn't do it. It was all the other hits combined with that one that did it. So the main thing going to therapy is like going to the gym. Consistency matters.
For sure.
You just keep putting the work in, even when it feels like it's not working. And you'll just be in session one day and breakthroughs just happen, especially if you're open and you're willing to do the work. Now, if you're not willing to do the work, keep going. It's like the difference between the person who goes to the gym and they play around and the person who goes to the gym, they lock in and they go hard. Both of them are in the gym. Both of them are going to get some type of result, but one result's going to be a bit more effective because of the intentionality behind it. When that therapist gives you homework assignments, are you going to do it?
Man.
You know what's funny? Side note:
Mm-hmm.
I find it funny, humorous. Let me say that we as adults expect more from our children than we expect from ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
That when our children don't do their homework assignment, we look at them like they stupid, they doing something wrong. You just want to be a failure in life. You go to therapy and your therapist gives you a homework assignment, and now you think it's optional. And the craziest part is you paying for the therapy session.
Right.
You're literally paying for this, and you don't want to do it. You don't want to take it. You don't want to give it a try. It's like, come on, man, put the doggone work in. It's going to be uncomfortable, and you have to be willing to be vulnerable. But that means that you got to show your scars, and it may even mean that the therapist might have to touch it a little bit.
Yeah.
And see, you could pretend that you're okay, you just don't touch your wound, and you try to avoid people and conversations that get your wound exposed, and so you can pretend like you're okay until that wound gets touched.
Like I said, that band-aid.
It there's a point in time where you're like in the middle of the fight and you don't have time to deal with that deep stuff because you're in crisis mode. Um, I had some deep rooted stuff that I had need to work on since I was like maybe 7 years old
Mm-hmm.
that I couldn't work on because from basically age 20 to maybe about 30, 35, I was in, shoot, it might have been 40, but let's just say 35. I was in survival mode.
Yeah.
I didn't have time to deal with my stuff because I was trying to keep the house afloat, trying to keep the car from getting repoed or getting evicted or pay the bills. Like I was in crisis mode. Like I didn't have time to stop. But then life happens, and you move out to the suburbs. You get a new car. You get a new car. You start living good. You can relax. You can breathe a little bit. Your subconscious realizes that you're not in crisis mode anymore. And once I was finally kind of like out of that crisis mode experience, I
Resurfacing.
man, I developed claustrophobia
Man.
like massively to the point I couldn't get on airplanes without having panic attacks. Like roller coasters, been riding roller coasters my whole life, all of a sudden couldn't get on them. And it was like, hey, that trauma that you thought, I haven't gone anywhere. You're
Right.
going to deal with me, and I'm going to scream so loud and disturb your life so much that now you have no choice but to deal with me, to get to the root of it. And getting to the root of it was painful.
Man.
It was
Yes.
it was painful. I had to acknowledge some things that were done to me. You know what I'm saying? And it may not have been as traumatic as being molested or anything of that nature, but the experience was traumatic enough to develop claustrophobia. And the crazy part is I forgot that I had claustrophobia because again, I avoided the scenarios. I'll share a short story. I used to wrestle
Mm-hmm.
and decent wrestler. Was never great, but was decent because I'm athletic and I'm strong and it just competitive.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a weakness. My weakness was whenever I ended up being down, my claustrophobia would kick in and I couldn't breathe.
Mm,
Like whenever somebody had me on my back, I started hyperventilating. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't breathe.
mm.
And I would try to fight through it and I just couldn't. And many times I would just give up because giving up meant that I could breathe again because the
Yeah.
match would be over. And when the match would be over, I would be so angry with myself because I'm like, why did you give up? The reality of it was I wasn't fighting the other person. I was fighting with that anxiety. I was fighting with that claustrophobia. I was fighting with some trauma that had never been dealt with. And I tried to just push past it. I
Yeah.
tried to just buck down and push past it. And I did a pretty good job of that most of my life until I didn't. And
Mm,
that's how a lot of us are. We cope. We find strategies, or some of us don't even cope. We're just saying, hey, I'm just going to avoid the conversation. I
mm.
hate that one. Like I love the term self care, but I think we pimp it. We pimp it. We use it to avoid tough conversations and think that's self care. Avoiding tough conversations is not self care. Avoiding trauma invoking conversations, or like conversations where people are personally trying to hurt you,
Hmm.
like intentionally yelling at you or intentionally trying to invoke anger or anxiety, that's different. But a person calling you out on something that you're not willing to deal with, that ain't self care. That's avoidance.
Yeah.
You, that's what, especially if the person is coming to you in love. You keep avoiding your stuff. Eventually, the person is going to just leave you be. And then we live in this generation where we feel like, well, I just cut people off. That's not good. Well, why are you proud of yourself for just cutting people off all willy-nilly? Like cutting people off should never be easy. It should hurt because that's you. That's family. That's friend. And if you got somebody that you can just cut off all easily like that, then I ask you, why are you letting people that you can easily cut off in your life in the first place?
Because some people allow their representatives to show up
Say more.
instead of their true selves. And I've learned that some people, they present to one person or group of people one way and another group of people entirely different. So
Keep
then
going.
I'm a cutoff person, right? And I don't
Hmm.
do it easily. I mull over it, I think about it, I make the attempts to make things right, to have the conversations, to take accountability. But when it gets to a point where the other person isn't doing the same, I'm done.
Can
Like,
I be fair with?
go ahead.
I haven't had to cut off many people in my life.
Hmm.
Primary reason because I don't let many people just willfully in to those inner circles.
Yeah.
Like we have to do a better job of one. When you know, the first thing you got to do is know yourself. So we're going back to that. You have to be self-aware. You have to know
Hmm.
who you are, because and then once you understand who you are, you vet the people that you allow around you differently.
For
this
sure.
guy this guy I went to school with, this is a horrible analogy, but just take the analogy.
Okay.
He reminds me of a young Barack Obama. A young
Okay.
guy, about 15, maybe 20 years younger than me, but he reminded me of young Barack Obama. I really liked this guy. And he had this girlfriend that he really liked.
Hmm.
But he had this goal that was bigger than their relationship. But his goal was to one day be like governor or something like that. Like he has maybe one day even president.
Hmm.
And he realized that the girl that he was dating couldn't go with him there.
Hmm.
Couldn't go with them there. Like there's a certain way that if you're going to play that particular game, there's a particular way you're going to have to carry yourself.
Right.
There's some things you can and you just can't do. And he realized, like, listen, this is something that's really important to me. We got two options. You can get on board, or we need to end this now. We need
Okay.
to just go ahead and end this now. Just like, hey, it's a bad fit. And they ended up breaking it. She's like, listen, this is who I am. He's like, I got to respect that. I'm not gonna ask. I got to respect that. Also, I have to realize that this is what I want to do in life, and this doesn't fit. And they were able to separate amicably. It wasn't mean. It wasn't evil. It was just a, hey, you know what? I'm not a good fit for where you want to go in life.
Right.
I don't hate you. If I see you in the streets, there's still love. But maybe we don't need to be trying to build a family or nothing like that together, because we're going in two completely different directions. And I think so that type of step, I don't even see that as cutting people off. I think that's restructuring the relationship. Like, hey,
Yeah.
maybe we'll be better off as acquaintances, or maybe we'll be better off as friends. The people that we really cut off is like people that are hurtful and harmful. And
Hmm.
what I found is hurtful and harmful people, usually, if we pay close enough attention, have always been hurtful, harmful people.
Facts. And that's something
And
that, like how you just mentioned, um, you have to be better at one, knowing yourself. That way you get better at vetting the people who you let in your inner circle. That was what that was a difficult thing that I had to learn because I was operating out of my trauma with not feeling like I had family, which is why I tended to latch on to people quick and just make them a part of my family. Like, your kids are still my nieces and nephews. They just are, you know. But my sister, she would she would come to me and be like, "Who are you calling your brother? Who are you calling your sister and your nieces? And you don't know them people." And it's like, well, I can't talk to y'all. You know, this was
you know,
before this recent healing and stuff that we've had, but it took me really bunkering down and doing the real healing versus just the coping to see that, yes, I had to cut those people off because they were never right for me to be in my inner mix in the first place. Right.
and some of I would even give just a slight reframing. I think some of those people that we cut off, we really ain't cutting them off. We're just restructuring the relationship. Like, I'm not cutting you completely out of my life, though there are some people who need to be completely out. I think
Hmm.
it's more people like, hey, maybe I need to limit your access to me. Maybe you maybe you need to give me the keys to my apartment back. Maybe you know what I'm saying? Like, maybe I shouldn't come home from work and you sitting on my couch already. Maybe, like, I still love you, but you had too much access. You know,
Yeah.
I with my students, I do the bullseye method where I draw a
Hmm.
bullseye on a on the board, and then that inner circle, I let them name 2 to 3 people, three, no more than three. And three, usually say if you got a third one, that third one might probably looking iffy, but no more than 3 people go in that inner circle. Those are the people that if you murder somebody, they'd help you hide the body. Just it
Right.
is just like that. You got three. If you got more than three, you're doing too much. Somebody lying.
Right.
Nobody. Even if you look from a biblical perspective, like, he had Jesus, he had these 12 disciples, but then depending upon how you read it, when he had the 12 disciples, he had like three he was really close to: Peter, James, and John. But then if you read again, and John said, well, I was the beloved, like I was his favorite. So it's like there's tiers of it. So
Hmm.
even in the midst of, like, I might have these group of people that I'm around, but then I got a smaller group that know me more intimately than a bigger group, but then I got that one that know everything about me. And if you put somebody from the outer group in the inner group, you get hurt. And if you put somebody from the inner group in that outer group, you end up losing somebody really valuable. And so be very, very, very careful when we let people into that inner spot. Miss Shayla. Miss Shayla's in my inner circle,
Hmm.
but I vetted her for years,
Yeah.
years. We were co-workers for maybe a couple of years. Then, matter of fact, she was my supervisor for 2 years. Then we were like co-administrative colleagues for like 2 years. Then she became like a mentee for like 2 or 3 years. So it was about a good 7 years before finally it was like, nah, this my road dog.
Yeah.
7 years. Crazy part about it is we'll be meeting somebody on Friday, going out with them on Saturday, in a committed relationship with them on Wednesday, and worry about stuff is blowing up on Friday.
Right.
I'll ask people this question: How long would it take for you to trust somebody that you just met? How long would it take you to trust them enough to put their name on half of your stuff?
Mm.
Half of it. Half of it. That means if they leave and this relationship don't work out, they get to walk away from half with half. I know the average person would say at least a couple of years,
Several.
several years. All right, cool. So if that's the value you place on stuff, how come you don't place a greater value on yourself? Why are you letting people have access to you ain't known for 2 or 3 years? Why you not vetting people? Which goes back to your open. It's all going full circle. What
Mhm.
area of your life do you need to heal so
Mhm.
you can be more intentional about who you allow have access to you?
Absolutely. And I think that is one area that I have definitely strengthened because I did see how having a lack of boundaries just ended up with me being hurt and me having to, I'm not going to say having to, but for my experience, having to cut people off. But then the other side to that, anyone I've cut off in my life, I I don't miss them. I'm not going to say I don't miss them. Let me switch that.
Okay.
There are points where I miss certain memories that I had with those individuals, but I don't feel bad for cutting them off. And that's how I know I made the right decision because it takes me so long to even get to the decision to do the cutoff. Because once I cut off, I know I am absolutely done. There is no cutting back, there is no coming back. But that's why I do everything within my power and to either remedy or rectify the situation and see if I'm operating in my ego and emotions or am I thinking about the situation logically before I do something as drastic as completely severing ties with them from my life.
Hmm.
And every time that I've done that throughout my years, I don't see a point in going back
You
for
speak on
me.
a top. You speak on a topic that you have more experience than I do. I'll give you that. You have more experience in that regard. I've never had to 100% cut people off.
Mhm.
I have had to give people space and distance, but even the people there's some people that I can't stand. There's a guy who used to be a member of my church who I can't stand, like to the point where if he had gotten close enough, I probably would have punched dude in the face. Like that's how much I couldn't stand this dude. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And if he called me right now and was like, Jake, I need you. Like look, I need you. Like you're the only person. I'd probably be there to be a help because that's the guy I've chosen to want to be. I don't think anybody should have that responsibility. I chose that for my own life path. I want to be the person who forgives because I also want to be the person who's forgiven.
For sure.
Um, but I also understand. Again, got another fun story. I had a young mentee who stayed with me, and if he sees this, he's gonna be so mad. But I'm not saying his name, so he can't be that mad. But if not, come holler at me, man. Like it is what it is. You know who you are. And he was staying with me, and he had an addiction. He had a porno addiction, which I didn't know about.
Mhm.
And I'm it's my house, so sometimes I come home and I just drop my keys and my wallet on my computer desk. I'm not thinking nothing about it. My computer desk was kind of like in the family room, so I've always just dropped my wallet there. Young Minty was staying with me for a little while. I didn't think nothing about it. Let have my inhabit have my wallet still there. Well, this person used my credit card to purchase some monthly subscriptions to a couple of porno sites,
Oh
which
God.
I found out when my bank account was like overdraft. I'm like, dang, you couldn't even take the 99-cent 24-hour, for free trial. You went for the month version. Like, dang, dude, you taxed me for that. And I had to go
Wow.
to the bank. Had to go to the bank, and I'm arguing with them like, why is my bank account overdrawn? They're like, well, sir, you made these purchases, and I'm like, I didn't make any purchases. What purchases were there? And they're like, it seems like you purchased a monthly subscription to Barnyard Whores, and I was just like, you know how embarrassing that is? Like, ma'am,
Right.
I,
Oh
I
my
I
God.
need you to believe me. God is my witness. I did not purchase that. That was not me. Whatever. It,
They looking like
after this
sure.
after this event, the person disappeared. Like they knew what they did. They disappeared. I didn't see him for a couple of years. When I finally saw him again, we were having a cookout, and I invited them to the cookout.
Hmm.
Invited to the cookout, and at some point during the cookout, he got ready to go in the house. And I went up to him like, "Hey, what you doing?" He's like, "Hey, I'm going to go in the house use the bathroom." I said, "Oh, I'll go with you." He was like, "Why you going with me to go to the bathroom?" I said, "Negro, because
You
you
know,
steal."
right? You
I
know
was like,
why I'm
"Listen,
going.
check." I'm like, "Hey, dude, you steal. I know you steal, and you know that I know that you steal. So why are we making this awkward?" You want to use the, I was like, I still invited you to the cookout, didn't I? I didn't
Right.
treat you bad because of your former addiction, which may even be your current addiction. I don't know. All I know is you used to steal and you might still steal. So until I feel that you don't steal anymore, you got to have a bathroom buddy. But you're more than welcome to have all the food and have fun and stuff like that. I still love you as my brother, but the dynamics of our relationship has to change. I can't give you the same freedoms that you used to have because you've shown that that's not something you can handle right now.
Yeah.
And so we walked in, he used the bathroom, we walked back out, and we continued having a time. And so I reframed the dynamics of our relationship, which allowed me to keep myself safe, but still allow him to feel loved, which I did. I still got love for the brother. Addictions are addictions. Hurt people hurt people. So even the people who have hurt me in the past, they only did it because they messed up. So if I'm going to judge them because of stuff that's happened to them, but then I want people to forgive me for treating them poorly based upon stuff that happened to me,
Yeah.
it's like you got to, keep that same energy. So I've chosen to show that love, and I had to do a lot of healing to be able to do that, to like get to a point where I don't take stuff as personal as I used to.
Hmm.
But really, what helped me the most with my healing was first learning to love others, because that was the easy part.
Yeah.
The hard part was learning to love
Yourself.
myself.
Absolutely.
I love me.
Absolutely.
I love me enough to limit people's access to me.
Hmm.
I love other people enough to forgive them when they've done wrong, even if they've done wrong more than one time. Because the Bible says if a man falls 7 times in a day or 7 times 70 in a day, it's a whole bunch. Let's just say more than 100. Okay,
Right.
like could you imagine somebody doing you that wrong, like over and over and over and over and over again? And like, yeah, and see, my religious upbringing kind of has me in a stronghold because I was always raised like God forgives us. Like I can't name one thing I ever did wrong once.
Hmm.
So if I could, and some of the stuff I did wrong, I did more than once in a day.
Right.
You're like, you know what I'm saying? But the text suggests that the same measure that we use to judge other people will be the same measure that will be used to judge us. So I'm
Hmm.
like, I'm gonna give you as much grace as possible because I need that in my life. I mess up. I make bad decisions. I say things I shouldn't say. I do things I shouldn't do. Like I mess up a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking once a day. Like, listen, I need to start keeping tallies for how many times I'm
Right.
aware that I mess up in a day.
And
You
I
know what I'm
agree. I
saying?
get that. I'm all for giving grace. I'm all for being forgiving because, again, like you, I want the same done to me. But I also come from the mindset I can show grace and forgive and not allow you back in my life either.
100%. Forgiveness doesn't mean continued access.
Exactly.
Forgiveness means I don't hold I I don't hold this anger anymore.
Hmm.
And on the flip side, that acts, saying like I want to love you from afar, if keeping you far from me keeps me safe,
Yeah.
then I get it. If keeping you far from me keeps me comfortable, different conversation.
Different. Yeah. Absolutely.
If you got COVID, you feel me?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? First of all, if you got COVID and you love me, you shouldn't even want to be around me until you're better.
Right.
Let's
Facts.
process that. If you sick, why you bringing your germs my way? I
Right.
love me. I like being healthy. See me trying to get all the little vitamin D I can. You know what I'm saying? I love me. So if a person really loves me, then they should want to keep that away until they're better. And if
Right.
they don't know how to do that, well, I can do that for them. But the thing about it is, I added that caveat until they're better. And I think a
Hmm.
lot of us don't leave room for people to change and become better. We give them the eternal sentence, like life doesn't happen and people don't have epiphanies. Like you got to meet the better version of me. You wouldn't have liked 20-year-old version of me. You wouldn't have
Probably.
liked me. We would not have been cool. I promise you. You too down to earth. I was an a-hole, very
You say
arrogant,
that a
very
lot.
no, like the one I talk about now, I'm just being funny. Like no, back in the day, I'm kind of embarrassed about some of the things I used to say and do. And I'm a 5'6" bully. You know what I'm saying? Like because
Yeah.
hurt people. That's no excuse. I've hurt people with my words and the way I treated them and stuff like that. I just wasn't that person. You know what I'm saying? Um, and so I'm glad some of them very same people who I traumatized,
Hmm.
literally traumatized, gave me grace. Like I traumatized one person so bad they had to change schools.
Oh wow.
These ain't jokes, like for real. Like I still regret that. And when I saw them again several years later. I think that was in the sixth grade. I
Hmm.
saw them again maybe 10th or 11th grade. They were kind to me.
Hmm.
I've never had a chance to give them to say I was sorry because I was too ashamed.
Hmm.
All I remember is when I saw them, they smiled at me and were nice and held a whole conversation. They treated me like I had never did what I did. They realized that I was just young and stupid and going through a dumb phase, and it really wasn't even about them. It was really all about me. And I was like, that's the type of person I want to be.
Yeah.
Because I did that girl, like, never put my hands on her, like that type, but like picking on her. Imagine
Yeah.
picking on somebody so much so that they have a nervous breakdown in school.
Ooh.
I can't
Yeah.
believe I was that person. Like I'm embarrassed by that. I know why I did stuff like that. I know what it is literally that hurt people thing. The year before that, I was the one getting picked on. So the next year, I decided to be the one doing picking.
Yeah.
She never held that against me. Amazing woman,
Yeah.
going to be amazing. So, but that's the life journey and life path that I choose to be on. Some other people like that ain't for me. Fine, I'm not here to convince people otherwise. If if part of your healing process means you need to isolate yourself, that's not for me to decide. As a
Yeah.
therapist, as a human being, that's not for me to decide. You got to decide that. But make sure that's what you really need and that it's not just
Coping.
convenient.
Hmm.
Yeah, come on, better word. It's not just you really coping. Because guess what? As long as they're away, I ain't really got to deal with the harm and the hurt. I can pretend like it never happened.
Right.
But if they're going to be around you, oh no, we're going to have to deal with some stuff.
Yeah. Mm.
Because I wish she would do me dirty. She better than me. We're going to talk about it.
And
No,
see,
that's not true.
I come from more of a mindset of, you did me dirty, but
Time out.
no.
They might not know. They legit, man, when you start understanding how the reticular activating system works, how people's brains really are, it can be right in front of them and they legitimately don't see it.
Okay.
The only
And
reason, the only reason, the only reason I knew I hurt that girl was when she didn't come back to school. That whole day, I thought it was the funniest thing possible. We cracked jokes about that all day long. And I had made it up in my mind the next day when I saw her to apologize. I was like, all right, I went too far. I thought it was just a joke going bad. But when she never came back to school, then I realized, no, Jake, that was worse than you thought it was. Sometimes people haven't had that experience that makes them realize how bad what they did really was. And until they have it in their mind, oh, I wasn't that bad.
hmm and
Our brains be dumb like that.
and I take that into account, believe it or not. But my mindset is more, even if you didn't realize it, I feel like certain situations, even if you speak up, it's going to make the situation worse, or it's not it's not going to resolve anything. I am a big believer of, I would rather let karma teach you the lesson than me teach you the lesson in certain situations.
You can't teach them anyways.
Case
You
in
you
point.
can't teach you can't teach people. You can only provide an environment where learning happens. You can't teach people.
And
If
so
they don't want to
even more
learn, there's
so.
nothing. If they don't want to learn, there's nothing you can make them learn. And if they want to learn, there's nothing you can stop them from learning. You thinking you a teacher? No, only thing you can do is provide information and create an environment where learning happens. But ultimately, it's up to the other person to decide whether or not they want to learn or if they're even ready to learn. But I did learn something from Fred Ward.
Mm-hmm.
Fred Ward, he he shares a story about how whenever he messed up in life as a child, his mother addressed his behavior with the most harsh punishment possible, sometimes tying him to a chair and beating him.
Ooh.
So this is his upbringing. So in his mind, when you do when I do something wrong, the punishment needs to be so dire that the behavior never happens again. This is how you treat bad behavior. So when he got older and he got out on the streets and somebody did him wrong, he gave him a punishment that was so heinous that the person would never do it again. And in his mind, that was right. And he went on like that for many years until one day he had an opportunity to go to college, as we call it, and be sat down for a little while. And while in the university, he learned some things. And he learned that he was responding to those people out of his trauma, and that what was normal for him wasn't normal for everyone. And he learned, hey, this is a way of dealing with stuff. It's not the only way, though. And he found some other ways of dealing with people's bad behaviors and decided to choose some different ones. But until he had that epiphany in college, you couldn't have told him that how he was responding to those situations was wrong. He couldn't see it. He couldn't see it because he hadn't healed yet.
Yeah.
Man, he spent most of his life in survival mode. Most of his life just coping. Coping is basically, what do I need to do so that I can push past this pain and still handle business? And let's keep it a buck. Many people, if not most people in our lives, do not care if we're healthy, if we're healed. They care if we're able to perform the responsibilities that impact their lives.
True.
And coping oftentimes allows you to still be able to handle those responsibilities. In which case, many, if not most people, they cool. They not checking to see if you're okay. That's how I know who really got my back. The ones who really got my back see me smiling and ask me, is everything okay?
Mm-hmm.
They see me
Feel the
smiling and
energy.
ask everything.
Right.
They feel it.
Like
They
that
like,
ain't your
listen,
normal smile.
come on, Jake, you're not okay. I can feel your energy different.
Yep.
Hey, Jake, you need a break. Hey, Jake, take tomorrow off. Like how? No, I don't care if you can function. I care if you're okay.
Yeah.
We have to get past the point of focusing on, like in the immediate future, like maybe right now in this very moment, I might just need to perform a particular function. I might just need to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But soon and very soon, and we're not talking days or weeks or months, we're talking minutes to hours. At some point, I need to stop in this day and be like, hey, Jake, are you okay? If not, hey, we need to stop everything and get you to a point of okay. And okay is not measured by your ability to function.
Yeah.
Okay is okay. Okay is okay. And it's okay for you to want to be okay. It's okay for you to, like what the one book I say, it's okay to, let's say, oh, not okay with
Okay
not
to not
okay.
be okay.
No, it's okay. No, my book was entitled Not Okay with Not Okay. It's for individuals who are not okay and not okay with it. Like, yeah, I'm not okay, but I don't want to normalize not being okay. I want to fix this. What do I need to do?
Right.
I don't want to just be like, it's okay to feel bad. Screw that. I don't want to feel bad. What can I do
Right.
about this? I don't want your sympathy. It's okay, Jake. Grieve. No, I want to deal with the pain. How do I heal from this? Like, how do I
Yeah.
move past just accepting the fact that this crap hurts? What's the next step now? If you're in the first phase, where right now you haven't even learned to let yourself hurt. Okay, cool. Then it's okay to not be okay. If that's where you're at the phase of where you're not even you haven't even learned how to be okay with your pain, cool, get there first. But after you got to a point where you've accepted the fact, hey, it's okay, it's not your fault, this thing happened. Once you pass that point and you're ready, like I'm ready to move on to what's next, hey, let's deal with that too. Let's actually move on from coping to healing, using your words.
And it all starts with an intention.
Facts.
Every week for my viewers and subscribers, Mr. Jake, on Sundays, I give a weekly intention based on whatever topic we'll be discussing on a Thursday. And then on Mondays, they get a poll to see how the previous week went with everything that they were doing, aka their homework. Wednesdays, they get journal prompts pertaining to the topic of the week. And then we have the discussion on Thursdays. Also, I upload a weekly music playlist that kind of, because music is therapy as well.
It is. It is.
So
if you choose the right song, the right song is.
And I hope I have been choosing the right songs, because it helps, like you said, facing those emotions that we try to run away from through those negative behaviors, those maladaptive behaviors. We don't like to feel, but it's hard not to feel when you're listening to music, especially when you're listening to music and genres and artists that you're familiar with and that you like. So no matter where someone is on their journey, I posted these things that way. If they're in that space where I'm ready to set the intentions and do this real healing, I'm giving you my blueprint. If down the line they're right now, they're like, no, they still cool with coping. Great, because that's what you need for now. Been there, been through that phase as well. But it's always going to be on social media. That way, when you are ready to start that real healing, those tools are there for you to get that head start.
That's what's up.
That is why these conversations, I appreciate you so much for coming on these Thursdays with me, because again, you just have extra knowledge and wisdom that I don't have, that I feel people need and can benefit from. So again, I thank you for that. I hope you guys enjoyed this discussion today on coping versus healing. Click the link in my bio, get the Choosing Me transformation bundle. That again, it will give you those beginning steps along with everything that I post, so you can start that real healing instead of just coping, should you be ready for it. Mr. Jake, as always, how can they get in touch with you?
Oh, listen, simple. My Life Now, MIE Life Now. That's .com, Gmail, that's my Gmail, that's my Facebook, that's my Instagram. If you consistency, My Life Now stands for motivating, inspiring, and empowering life now. I got tons of ebooks and stuff like that. Check that stuff out. But either way, just continue to lock in with Miss Kalina, and just join this journey with her. Join this journey with her. Put the work in and get something out of it, and you'll get out of it what you put into it. We'll put it that way. I don't have to hope. I don't have to wish. I know if you put the work in, you'll get the results out.
Basically.
So it's getting dark. So love you all. Appreciate you all. Don't do drugs because they're bad for you. And I guess I'll see you all in a couple of weeks.
All right. Peace.